Okay, so well, let's start. No, so as you know, in each of the Connect countries, good morning, Antonia, Monique, everyone there. So as you know, in each of the Connect countries, Poland, Denmark, the UK, Italy, and Spain, we are conducting an audience development course that we call our Twin Track program, our TTPs. And each of the TTPs has its own personality, of course, and this couldn't be otherwise. But we have all of us many things in common. No? First of all, that we are all doing this twin track program. So this means that there are two different tracks for different well type of participants, and we have among us some students or junior practitioners who are starting their career to working together with practitioners or more senior practitioners who are already working for a cultural organization. Um, and this is one thing that we have in common. Another thing that we have in common is that we are all working both with hard skills and soft skills. Um, well, this was something that we already had in the Adeste project, and that we now in the Connect project are well putting into action via the mentoring scheme. And well, we have involved also other external mentors in the Connect project and program and the TTPs to well to emphasize the development of our soft skills. No? And then we also have a common structure. We are, all the TTPs are based on a very important piece, which is the Action Research Project. Because we are convinced that the best way of learning is learning by doing. And that's why we wanted all of you, well, and also, well, to use evidence to create a prototype and to implement something real that's real, no? And that's why we have made this action research project, well, the most important piece of our TTP. Apart from this, we all of us in the different countries are following 7 different modules. We had our introduction to audience development. We had a module called Understanding Your Organization, one called Understanding Your Audiences. Then we had how to develop strategies, and then we started to design the experiment. And the last two modules are, well, leading change, also related with this implementation of the action research project and how to, well, lead the change in the organizations, which is something that's not that easy. And then, well, we wanted to finish and to close the circle by doing a reflection around the promoting positive organizational change. So in other words, how to embed this action research project in the organization, making it sustainable, and so that it could be a first seed for a continuous change or for a certain direction, or a way of doing in the organization. No? So these are all the many things, and probably there are others that are now I'm forgetting, but these are the main relevant things that we all have in common. So we have many things in common. And in this webinar, we are going to focus on this very important piece, that's the action research project. And as you know, because well, you already had some previous information to this session, we have selected one action research project per country, and each of the couples are going to present a very, well, small uh, presentation or ideas of their case, of their action research project. Also, bring in some ideas, doubts, questions that could trigger debate, because we don't want this webinar to be a lecture. We want this to be a discussion. We want all of you to participate, to ask, to give ideas to each of the well, the projects that are going to be presented. Of course, we don't have much time in the sense that, well, of course, we would like to finish the latest at 12 o'clock. So that would be the limit because, well, if not, this would be too long. So we are going to act as a little bit of controllers, controlling timing and so on. Well, I think that the guidelines are just like, well, think about 10 minutes presentations, the most 5-10 minutes, so that then we can have more debate. It's 11 o'clock in England. Yes, Jonathan, I always forget that. Sorry for that.
And in Canarias.
And in Canarias as well. We also have people in the Canary Islands, in Tenerife, connected. Sorry for that. So, and okay, so if you don't mind, and to break the ice, I know it could be maybe a little bit weird, but we are going to start with Spain. And I will pass the word to my colleague Jaime so that he can explain at what point we are with the TTP and present the people who are connected from our side and who will also present their case.
Okay, so thank you, Macarena, and thank you all. It's so great to meet you all from so many different places. This is a kind of I don't know, like Eurovision contest online. We see some of you. We feel like we are taking a cup of tea with the Danish team there, or chatting with the people from Seville. And we are at the same time at Copenhagen, at the Canary Islands, in London. So that's really amazing, no? We are bigger than the Napoleonic Empire. it's a very crazy thing, but I think we will be able to manage it, even if people all the time are joining the conversation and quitting because of technical issues, probably. But so in my role here is just to break the ice and give you a very brief overview of where we are in Spain right now, because as you know, we are all in different moments of the implementation of the TTP. So, for example, the Danish team there, they were so fast that they already did everything. So they are a kind of model for us all. And we are not so at that moment yet. Just a couple of reminders of where we are here in Spain. Yeah. Well, we started in October and November, we just had the theoretical modules, knowing your organization, knowing your audience, and so on. And then in January, we started with we started designing the action research projects. In February, mentors appeared, and this matching between mentors and mentees happened, and also the matching between both groups, between practitioners and students. And from then on, gradually, all working couples have been starting the implementation, first the design and then the implementation of the action research projects in each organization. I mean gradually, because we have been having some issues with the agreements between the organizations and the university in fine bureaucratic Spanish fashion. So it had taken some time. But this is the day when most of the people are already in the organizations, and they are already in a very complete phase of the design of the research in each organization. So our deadline for the implementation of all these things is June. We are closing in June, and these action research projects should have been implemented and even already evaluated by then, by June. So we have some people from Spain which are connected. If I am not wrong, Rafa and Aida are there connected. We have also Marina and Ana here in Bilbao, very close to us. Hi. and Sofia is also here close in Bilbao. Blanca, I think she has connected in the Canary Islands, but then already quit. well, so we have several people connected, but we have one couple who is presenting their project, and they are Mamen and Irene, both from Seville, and their case organization is Sala Cero, which is a theater in Seville. So they volunteered, and we are very grateful for that. So we are going to listen how they explain to all of us the main challenge that they are addressing, and how they are going to do that. You know, how what kind of solutions they have come up with. So, and that's all for my side. We have Mamen and Irene there, and then I think that's your turn.
Hi. So we are presenting the Sala Cero Theater. Mamen will start with a presentation, talking, introduce our place and our venue. So, Mamen.
Hi, everybody. I'm Carmen. We are working in Sala Cero Teatro, which is a 175-seat private theater located in the center of Seville, in Andalusia, in the south of Spain. It is specialized in comedy. Despite this kind of small theaters have an alternative origin, the fact is that nowadays they have become quite popular and even commercial. In our case, it is because of its program, because it's based in humor, and the audience love that. Almost all of our sessions are sold out during the whole season, every day and every night. It makes that the team pay no attention to certain details which could be improved in order to develop our audience. So next year is our 20th anniversary, and I think it is the perfect moment for this project of audience development to take place. So these last 10 years, we have been working hard on broadening our audiences using a CRM named Patron Based, which has allowed us that we have now over 30,000 patrons who receive every week our newsletter, and also we have many followers in social networks. But as I said, there are still a lot of details that could be improved or that will need to be polished in order to develop our audience diversification, mainly focused on young audiences. And that is where we are right now. We are joining to that nationwide trend of trying to catch a young audience interest by learning about them, trying to discover their own code. So we are here. Our theater, we are working on 3 lines: a main program for adults, a second program for families, and a third program for schools. But the thing is that we are not being able to reach young audiences in none of them. So we have almost no patrons, no spectators from 16 to 24, and only a few ones from 25 to 30 years old. So we must do focus on trying harder to bring them to our space. In this line, our challenge is to increase and to improve our relationship with teens and young audiences. We need to set up a strategy that add them to our database, because if we don't do that, the thing is that every single action that we promote, they are right away collapsed by our aged audience who are receiving our messages so far. There are no young in our database. So, okay, so Irene is going to continue now telling you which has been the methods that we have been using for our receipt.
Yeah, so we start with our research, asking ourselves what information we already have. So we start to check in the social media, all the channels of the social media and our patron base, the customer relation manager software. And we realized that the majority of our followers are women, and also they are like older than our group of research that we are trying to engage right now. So we realized that almost all the people of our followers, for example, on Instagram, they have more than 35, between 35 from 35 to 44 years or older. So that was a problem for us because Instagram, when you think on Instagram, usually it's like a social media like related with young people. So what's really strange for us, the issue that we don't have too much followers on that average of ages. So we realized that we have to strongly work on it. It's something that we have to just improve and to polish to get and engage new audiences. Then when we start to check all our social media files, we decide to do an in-depth interviews with some successful cases in our country. So we thought about 4 different projects that are like currently working on the country. Both 2 of them are from high school, more or less average age, and the other are from more for bigger, for older people, like 18 to 30 years, like university stage of your life. So I will start to explain you, for example, one of the really curious and interesting project is Festival. It's a Sevillian, so our city festival, and they decide to create the festival with a facilitator that help the young people to make the festival in all the steps that they have to do. So this festival is made directly and totally by teenagers. They they create all the steps, like the program, the place that they want to play, to roll, what kind of visual art they want to promote, the promotion, the communication, so everything, all the steps. So they can use this one like a tool for learn how to work in the cultural management also sector, and also to see how difficult is create a cultural project. So we were talking with Fran Roman and Wedge, who is the manager of this initiative, and he told us a really interesting thing, and is that the they they felt he felt that the the young people really show interest on his project because they took part of the project, so they can choose everything, they can feel identified with the project, and they can like empathize with this project, so and with the topics that are talking in them. So I think this is a really important and remarkable thing that they work on the way that they want to do projects that identify these people with them. So they are working on it on the co-creation system with different projects. Then we have the Playoff Company, which is the young company of theater in Madrid. They are doing projects with people around 16 to 26 years. And they also have a really nice program because they are like focused on teaching community to serve this experience in the high school, to show the different theater plays to schools and high schools. It's really interesting because it's a new dramaturgist programs. This season they schedule like more than 180 performances, so it's a really successful company, and they are like touring about around 40 cities all over the national territory. We will talk with Yolanda Fernandez, and she's a civilian actress, and she's taking part in the play of play, the production of the one of this company. And she see that the key of this project is that they are making all the projects with a young team, so everything is designed just for them. Also, they have morning educational shows, and during the afternoons, they are preparing also the meet and greets with the spectators, and they are going to visit them. And she's like really happy because of the response of the different teenagers and young people that are taking part of the project. Then we have the lucky to talk with Zarzuela, that is also one of the participants of this program, of our program of experts. And we were talking with Aida, which is the marketing and diffusion. Sorry, don't move the presentation. Aida is the marketing and advertisement department, and we were talking with her because they are preparing a Proyecto Zarza. Maybe most of you doesn't know what is zarzuela, but zarzuela is a lyric dramatic genre, the Spanish one, and it's really similar to opera but with popular content. Like the songs are popular and everything is focused on the popular context. So we were talking with her, and she told us that the success of this project is that it's an adaptation of different classic zarzuela plays, but in a contemporary way. So all the young people are going to see them, and they are like really happy to.
Irene, I'm sorry to interrupt. We need to be very tight with it, with the timing. So
Okay,
I,
okay.
I guess we would have like 5 more minutes for your presentation. So perhaps you can focus on really what is your proposal, in order to
Okay.
address that challenge. Yeah. And so
Okay,
so we would
perfect,
have
Jaime.
like 5 more minutes to discuss it with the other participants. Sorry,
Okay.
sorry to interrupt you.
No problem, no problem. It's okay. So I will try to be faster. Okay, so that's it. We did some interviews. Also, we were thinking about do some surveys. We divide in three. Oh, the presentation disappeared. I don't know what happened. We did some surveys. We divide in three groups. Like in one side, the teachers of different high schools, and then two different groups of audience. In the first was 14 to 17, and the second 18 to 30. Like focus on the stage of the high school and university. And we asked some things like, for example, what they prefer, why are they interested to see, what genres, and all of these to try to check the barriers and all the things that they prefer to see in our city. These have some problems. For example, we found that was not so representative sample because for lack of time, we don't have the opportunity to have a lot of answers. But we discovered that the favorite genre is the musical and modern, and they feeling interest, but they don't want to see just classics they want to see also modern other offer. Now, actually, we didn't present it. We in the beginning we thought to do the focus group, but at the end we didn't have time, so we just discard of our project. So with all of this information, we were thinking what we can do in related to our project. So we start with the action. We divide our actions into different stage. Let's see, in the current season and the next season. In the current season, we are thinking just to do small changes, but are really significant and relevant changes for the organization that we can do provoke a long-term change of changes. So we are implementing now a last-minute promo for people that is under 30 years to try to remove the barrier of the price. Also, we are trying to interact more with on Instagram with the stories and try to be more active live on the social media, and also change the visual website and all the visual content of our image. Related also to with the 20th anniversary. And also we are thinking to do, based on the actual program, we are trying to do some goals, like for example Estrella Sulimedan, which is this photo that you can see in the on the on the right. It's the one of a spectacle that it has been like 17 years in tour around Spain, and it's quite famous. I think we can just like turn the design of the promotion and try to engage more young people. And also two more shows like that are focused for young people, but I think in the moment we didn't promote really well to them. And Mame, she will explain the next season, like.
Yes, next season, in the frame of our 20th anniversary, we would like to work our heart out, set up all the big part of strategy. So next season, we are expecting to have a fresh and strong database with younger people, and then we are committed to program La Joven Compañía, the company that Irene said, which is the most nowadays successful company specialized in young people in our country, and we are working on it. It seems to be that they are going to be next season. Also, we want to design a theater season aimed to young people, taking place the first Thursday every month. And in that line, we would like to set up also a unplugged concert season with one date each month. Due to this, we would like to establish a powerful relation with young audiences, settling the base of our future connection. That is.
Thank you very much. And now, yeah, questions, comments, maybe from other participants.
Actually,
Well,
we have a question for the participants, or if they can tell us a suggestion about what they think that we can do more separately to the season program to engage more young people, because we are like focused on the season, but maybe we can do some actions that we are not like thinking right now and are really important for our organization. So we just like throw this question to the group.
Yeah, we have some messages in the chat. For example, Sophia is writing that this initiative reminds her a bit of the case of the takeover project at the York Theatre Royal, and that you can check it perhaps, to get some ideas. Rafa is writing also. But if anyone wants to give an answer to that open question that Irene has proposed. Yeah, well, Rafa is thanking you for mentioning this project of the Zarzuela Theater that is also trying to address this problem with the young people. Well, there is someone, some more people are writing. In the meantime, perhaps you can perhaps explain us what the main difficulty is being for you, no, in this project. I guess it has to do with the idea of that you are working with a very well closed concept of seasons, no? And of course that is very difficult in order to introduce changes when a season is already almost finishing, no? So I guess it goes in that direction, or
What? Sorry, can you repeat, please?
no, just for you to share with us what your main difficulties are being. Um,
Yes, yes. In that line, as you said, this season is completely designed. So for us, it's quite difficult to improve any changes
mm,
right now. And we can only introduce some little changes, maybe in the digital strategy or something that really we can do, but um, following with the already designed program. But the HU program we are planning for next season.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Well, there are a couple of questions. Marina asks if regarding these changes for the next session, for the next season, if you are planning to organize a festival which is co-created by young people. If that's one of the things you are thinking of for the next season.
We are thinking about it. The truth is that it's not completely designed right now. That was another question that Irene had for all of us. If you thought that it might be a good idea, the co-creation, no? Because until now we haven't used that that thing, no? Because we have been part of festival, but really it hasn't our own project. You know, we have just participated in that, but maybe if we co-create a new project from zero, maybe it can involve new young people in it and create a new relation.
Okay.
Also, Jonathan, I think is asking if that we categorizing young people as a one group, but no, in the research, we divide the young people in different groups. We just divide in one side the young people on the first stage of the teenager period, let's say like 14 to 17, and the other group like in the university stage, let's say, like 18 to 30, and they are start to working, but some of them are still study.
Yeah, but he means if you are dividing them by something other than age, no? Other criteria.
Yeah, of the university, the study period, because I think it's the most easy to identify them or divide them in groups. Yeah, in the educational division.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And that
also,
may have to do with the question of Rafa, if there are some preferences regarding the different ages, no? To different genres also, no? But there is Marina who wants to contribute with something. Yeah, please.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I was just making this question about the festival because of the co-creation concept. Anna and I are thinking about organizing a short festival of one day involving young people. However, we are now thinking in this co-organization or co-creation. So this was my question. You have an idea about how to involve this audience?
Actually, yeah, I think the content of the co-creation, let's say, I think is the most important, because if you, as in the successful case of festival, they say that they was success because they create content that identify or empathize with those people, with those range of people. So at the end, I think this is the key. Just try to make products or projects that they feel that are taking part on it. I don't know if I say.
And I think that the age of the youngs is also quite significant, because, for example, in the case of festival, the festival that Irene mentioned before, that it was co-created with young people, they were minors. So the organization need to have always need to be always really careful with everything, with details so simple, but for example, as if the organization need to contact by email with the minors, they couldn't do that. They had to contact by email with the professor of the high school, and then he or she was who passed the message to the young people, but they couldn't, for example, contact directly with them. So these kind of details, I think that we have to have it in mind, because it's hard then to improve that. And I think that it's very important that if they are minors, the role of the main director of the festival has been really, I don't know, really well designed. No, also, for example, the topic of the play have to be according to their ages. For example, in that case, we propose different plays, and the young people then they were who choose one of them, but also under the supervision of the teachers. So the teachers had to be involved in all the process together with the young and with the organization.
Okay, so great. Thanks a lot to both Mamen and Irene. We wish you all success in this project. And we need to go on to the next group now, which is to the next national team, which is Italy. And I think we can count on Antonia, perhaps, to give us a short overview of where you are now, at which moment in the implementation of the TTP, and briefly introduce the participant who is presenting. Thanks, Antonia.
Good morning, everyone. We are actually in the audience agency office, and you can see Massimo, a participant from Connect here in Italy. So there are a few kind of exchanges here going on. So in Italy, there is also Eduardo from Fitzcarraldo, who has been following the training with us. So in Italy, we are Melting Pro and Fitzcarraldo working on the twin track program. We are now, basically, we finished all the, let's say, hard skills part, and participants, so practitioners and students have been matched together, and they're working on their action research project. We had a session in Rome last when it was last oh my god March Was it? Sorry, I can't remember now. Phased out with time. Anyway, we had our last session where participants worked on their action research project. And we still have 2 modules to go, leading the change and embedding the practice into the organization. Oh yeah, people are wishing happy birthday to Massimo because it's his birthday today. So we are going to have our last meeting where participants are going to present their action research project, and we're going to have it in Ravenna Festival, which is one of our people participants taking part in Connect. So we are going to present. We have here Silvia Bovio from Triennale Teatro dell'Arte in Milan, which is a very big institution for theater in Milan. And we have also Valeria Lacorte, which is our student. And so they have been working very closely together to develop this action research project. But probably I will leave the floor to Silvia and Valeria because they will be much better than me to explain their action research project. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Silvia and she's Valeria, my partner for this project. Thanks to Antonia to introduce us at this webinar. I work for Triennale Teatro dell'Arte. I'm the communication and audience development manager. Triennale Teatro dell'Arte is a theater space dedicated to the live arts and the contemporary performance scene. Its program reflects the multiplicity of formal and expressive practices that are present in theater, but also in performance, music, and dance. Teatro dell'Arte is an integral project, part of the project of Palazzo dell'Arte of the Triennale building, realized in 1933 as a multifunctional building capable of hosting the numerous simultaneous activities and like art, performances, music, events, and also a bar and a bookshop and a restaurant. The program of Triennale Teatro dell'Arte is divided in 2 parts. The first one is the season from October to February, and the second part is a festival. From last year, we work for a festival since March to June. The name is Fog Triennale Milano Performing Arts, and the program of the season and especially of the festival is based on the mix of the different disciplines, so theater and performance and principally. It's very funny because we have listened the Spanish project, and our audience is for the majority is composed by young people and students and professional and non-professional interested in cultural program and activity. But for our action research, we focused on the community. That is a part of our audience. The community is composed especially by young and students that they have already participated in the the other activities of the program, like meeting with the artists and like call from the companies to a sort of co-creation performances last year. So the audience of our community is our target group for our action research.
So in order to define the action research, the first step was the creation of a survey that we have submitted to our community members. So thanks to the survey, we had found out that most of them have already participated to open calls for co-creation, as Silvia said, and meeting with artists organized by Teatro dell'Arte. And then we found out that they are interested in taking part in workshops and activities led by the artists, and in events in direct contact with the companies and with the artists of the Triennale Teatro dell'Arte. In the meantime, we have defined our goals, such as deepening our relationship with the community, widening audiences, making the audiences loyal, the activation of the community, and increasing the word of mouth. So therefore, our challenge includes making the audience loyal and more intent in their choice, making these people feel part of a community, and becoming a reference point for the community of professional and amateurs of performing arts field.
Our solution regards the activation of some audience engagement actions dedicated to the community in occasion of folk festival, such as workshops with the artists of the festival, post-performance meetings with the artists and guests, and events that bring the members in contact with the artists. These activities are part of Extra, a program of free collateral activities which accompany the performances of the festival that we have realized on the occasion of the second edition of FOG. Meetings, workshops, and events allow the public to come into direct contact with the artist and explore the festival and its protagonists. So this is the right slide to the presentation of, and the last Sunday there was the first event of the FOG Extra, a workshop with one of the artists in program in the festival, Silvia Costa, a dancer and performer. And after the first workshop, our initial impression is that the artists involved feel more engaged in the theater activities thanks to the possibility to create something addressed specifically to our community. And this is the first impression unexpected. On the other hand, the majority of the participants wasn't part of the original community. Therefore, the activity allowed us to reach new members. There was 23 participants in the first workshop, and only 3 participants there are in the initial community, and the other 20 were new members of our community. So
starting from now, they are new members of the community. So it's a little result for the moment. And the implications about this first part of the actual research are the creation of a coherent and integrated collateral program that corresponds to the community members' wishes, and the increased the community of people who take part in collateral activities and consequently in the ordinary activities. So related to the implication, we have some doubts and a new challenge. So could we engage the members in taking part in collateral activity as well as in participating to the performances? So the new challenge, how can we make this pilot project part of the ordinary and structured activity of the theater in the future? And with this question, we will leave you. And if you have any tips for us, we are happy to hear.
To hear you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot for sharing your project with us, Silvia and Valeria. And so there is an open question there on the desk. If someone wants to contribute and to share some doubts, some comments with the Italian team, that's the moment. How did the TTP work for you both in the sense of this student-practitioner relationship aspect, no? Which is on the very center of the common idea of the TTP? What can you tell us?
TTP?
Meaning the program.
Twin
just
track program.
Oh, yeah. The extra program.
No, not really. I meaning your participation in the Connect project and in the learning program.
Thank you.
How did that impact?
Sorry.
We start to work together, starting from the beginning of the project.
We thought about the community, so the audience of the theater, and we thought together an idea to create a clear program and a clear proposal for our audience, to engage new audience and to deeper relationship with the audience existing. Vuoi aggiungere qualcosa?
No, non saprei. I don't know if we.
What was different? Can you hear me? This is Jonathan here from England.
Yes.
What was different about working together as working as students and practitioners? What's different from, say, working just on your own, if you just tackled the project on your own? I mean, that's what I was kind of interested in. What advantages were there to working together in partnership?
The first one for me, that I work for the theater, for this theater, it was to have other eyes and another point of view of my job and of our program and of our audience development activities. Because Valeria is also like a student, but also a professional, but also an example of our audience is young. She's young and interested in cultural activities. So for me, it was very precious and important to listen her and to share our thoughts about this place and our season and program. I don't know if for Valeria.
Yeah, for me it's quite the same. As Silvia said, I'm student for this project, but I am also professional. I had other experiences in audience engagement projects. So in this case, it was a great opportunity to work for a big institution in theater field, and to do that with Silvia in order to exchange ideas and to have the opportunity to create something together, starting from the beginning, thanks to all the things that we learned thanks to the Twin Track program. And so it was really great because thanks to connecting, we have the tools to do that. And when you have the opportunity to share and to work together, I think it's better.
Yeah, and I think that the presence of Valeria in our office on my side, we share the same desk, is the perfect occasion to put the focus of the work and activity also of my chief and my colleague on the audience field. And I think only the presence of the other person, it's very important to start a new project and to share that it's very important to work for the audience.
Okay, great. Thank you both. I will give the last word to Antonia, and then we will need to move forward to UK. Okay, Antonia?
Okay. Yes. Now, I had a question for Silvia and Valeria. So regarding their new challenge. So why do you think is going to be a challenge to make it part of your ordinary activity in the future?
Because it's quite a miracle, this program. in this edition of the festival, because Valeria started to work with us in March, and the festival started in March. So the principal problem for us, it was the time. And we have worked very fast to create this program. And I don't know if for the next season this practice and this program could be enter in the structured activity of my job and of the theater.
Okay, because there are some resistance internally.
No, but I think that this is the pilot edition of the extra program, and for the next season, the extra program have to it's necessary to have an extra program more structured. And it's not possible maintain the same format of this edition for the next season. I think that it could be better organized workshops and events more structured for very audience interested in cultural activity, and not only on performances and the main program.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Italy. So now, Jonathan, I will give the word to the UK and US.
Hello. So first of all, I'm very grateful Camilla has come in at the last minute from the Imperial War Museum. Who's one of our practitioners, and she didn't have much notice, but presentation. We've got a few things we'd like to share from the project. First of all, I should say that it's been really, for us as facilitators at the Audience Agency and Goldsmiths, it's been absolutely amazing project. It's been really fascinating in terms, especially I think in terms of the partnerships between the practitioners and the students, which have been really interesting. The other thing I should add is that here we decided to take a slightly different view on it, in the sense that we decided to we decided to focus the idea on design thinking as a basis for looking at audience development. So we followed the 7 modules as it was, and we've just got past on Thursday and Friday. We did the 6th and 7th module. We kind of use this idea of design thinking to focus ideas, to focus on the problem, and to think about what the solution might be. And so we spent quite a lot of time thinking about the problem, thinking about the audiences, about the user journey, and that sort of thing. And Camilla, are you on the line?
I'm here.
Hi,
Hi,
great.
I'm here.
Great. So Camilla came in from the Imperial War Museum, which is a very well-known museum in Britain. There's three or 4 sites overall. Camilla can say something about that. But she's one of the practitioners. I think probably quite close to the beginning of the action research part, but definitely part of the early part of the thinking about this. Camilla, do you want to say something about very briefly about Imperial War Museum, and also what your kind of challenge was, your problem was, that you've kind of been trying to encounter in this project?
Hello, yes, so I'll just introduce the organisation. It's Imperial War Museum. We've got 5 branches across the UK. It's a museum, it's the national museum, it's the national collection of war and conflict involving Britain and the former empire and the current Commonwealth from the last 100 years. So that's who we are. What we wanted to do with our action research project was to create a case study by applying design thinking to a project that is already in motion at the museum, in order to highlight the benefits of applying design thinking, in particular in terms of gaining audience insight at the beginning of projects, so that our processes can be more genuinely audience focused. So we have taken a project which is called Dynamics of War, which is working towards a public season of activity at our site in London, which is due to be public in February 2021. So we have quite a long development phase. Hooray! Yeah. That never happens, right? Yeah. So we're right at the beginning of that large project. What I'm doing with the student that I'm working with from Goldsmiths is taking the second part of the scoping phase of this project as an opportunity to prototype and test different types of audience consultation that can give us greater audience insight to feed into the creative brief and the research pack which we're developing for this bigger project for IWM. So that's what we're doing at the moment. It aligns quite well in terms of timeline, because the student and I will be working on this up till the end of June, which takes me to the place in the larger Dynamics of War project where I will be needing to move into a phase of starting to create a brief and research pack to go out to creative associates or artists who will work with us on the final product. What's been really great about working with Caroline, who is the student who's working with me on this, similar to what other people have said, she actually represents the target audience for this season quite well, and that's a bonus. But also the student body at Goldsmiths are quite aligned to this audience and local to where this season will be realised. So her experience of working with the student union and working with different student sort of activity groups means that she can help me to access those groups so that we can test some of the forms of audience consultation that we're trying to prototype. So we are not only working with the Goldsmith student body, we will go beyond that, but we have an immediate audience that we can tap into so that we can do some very fast prototyping in the beginning. And also we are looking at working with academics to feed into the research pack that creates the project as well. And Goldsmiths actually happens to be one of the best equipped universities to help guide our thinking in a project like this. The big project, Dynamics of War, is very much about individual memory versus collective memory and how they play into dominant narratives about war and conflict. But we're looking at presenting activity for our target audience that includes work with artists. So Goldsmith's academic community is actually probably one of the best in the UK for thinking through a project like this.
Yes, and if I mean, Adrian, who's also on the line from Goldsmiths, he might want to add into this. But one of the interesting things about the way it's worked with this project is that the students have actually come from different courses. They're all graduates, they're all masters, and the different levels of experience and different expertises. But we've got people from not just from the cultural management course, but from the entrepreneurial course, from the performing arts course, and any of you that were in Turin will have met Christina and Andre, who helped to formulate this extraordinary chairs performance and visual arts installation in Turin, who are from the performing arts course. And one other course as well, which Adrian might be able to let me know about. But it was but what's been interesting is to have these different perspectives, and I think in the group, not just to look at cultural management, but to look at some other student perspectives as well, which has been given a real freshness to the equation. I don't know, Adrian, are you there? Do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, hello. Hello?
Yep, hi.
Just to say, I think one of the strengths of the course for us in the UK has been, as Jonathan said, the mix of student background and experience. And because it's Goldsmiths, they're not just UK-based students, they're largely from across Europe as well. So we've got different sort of European perspectives feeding into this group as well. Students that I've been seeing for tutorials have absolutely loved the course and the course contents. They're really pleased to have developed professional partnerships with the practitioners. And I think one of the strengths of the course for us at Goldsmiths has been those developing partnerships with institutions across the UK, because as Jonathan might have said earlier, they're not just London-based organisations. The audience agency have actually found participants from across the UK, and I think that
in fact Camilla is based in Manchester, in fact, overall.
But yeah, as I said, that was quite a challenge at first, but I think it's proving to be an interesting connection that's developed across the UK.
And I don't know if people want, if it's clear to people about this, I mean, we don't want to go into the whole design thinking idea, but it's basically been very useful for thinking about the action research and the experiment, about really thinking about what is the problem, then developing ideas around the different ideas that you might have, like the ideation, then gradually choosing some solutions to the problem, and then gradually developing an action research from that. I suppose we can finish in a minute, but Camilla, do you want to say something about that? You know, the creation of the ideas, the design thinking aspect of it. Has that been advantageous?
Yeah, I'm a massive fan of design thinking anyway, so I'm probably a good person to ask about that. But I think what design thinking has helped Caroline and I do in terms of forming our project is to really drill down into what the key problem is that we are trying to solve. And interestingly, in some ways, there is an organisational problem, which is about the fact that really focused audience testing and audience consultation isn't routinely undertaken project by project. We tend to rely, and this is quite common, on big pieces of market research which tend to be driven by marketing departments, either towards marketing campaigns or exhibition programs. And I come from a department of public engagement and learning, and obviously it's equally as important that we gain audience insight when we're at the earlier stages. So that's the organisational problem that we're trying to solve. But the reason that we need to solve that problem is so that case by case in each project we can become more audience focused and use that same design thinking led approach in order to properly identify in each case for each project what audience problem we are trying to solve. So what's been interesting about learning about and learning to try to apply design thinking across our spectrum of work is that it does actually work on all those different scales. So whether it's about audience problems or organizational problems. So I found it so incredibly enjoyable, and although luckily for me it taps into approaches and ways of thinking that are quite natural for me anyway, it's what it's doing for me is giving me the opportunity to work alongside a student who has very different experience and perspective, which is very enriching, and also it's giving me tools that I can carry forward and share with my colleagues. So it's going to help me to collaborate more broadly, both across my organisation and future with other people, and to advocate for a way of working that I believe will help us be truly audience-centred in the future.
Great, thank you. Any questions?
Yeah. Well, I would have, well, maybe other people also have some questions. I have a question for Camila, because, well, you were talking about the project was about prototyping and testing different audience consultation activities. I don't know if I correctly understood, but could you maybe give an example of what that is, or because we're thinking maybe that's a survey or an in-depth interview, or I don't know, but what have you, an example of something that you have done or in the project or that was successful?
We haven't. That's the issue. So this is what the point that we're at is actually we have reached the gatekeepers to audience groups that we can do testing with. So that's the point that we're actually at. We have brainstormed some ideas around some forms of consultation, but really we wanted to identify those gatekeepers and bring them on board. So actually although we've done some brainstorming, I'm happy to share, but it's probably more useful for the group if we share at a later stage when we delivered something. But the one thing that we have done is produce a bespoke kind of briefing sheet to each of the different kind of gatekeepers that we're speaking with, so that we can try and introduce the broader project to them that we want to consult with them about, and to try and get them interested in the consultation. So we've talked about different forms of audience consultation, but we're really not at that stage. So I'm sorry, it's not useful to the group for me to share that right now.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't know if there are any questions from the participants to our UK hub. No? Okay, so then, well, we will move on to the Danish team, our Danish team. So Solvay, I will give you the word, okay?
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. So we have, as mentioned in the early hour of our meeting here, we have been finished now for a few months. So this is the group that could still linger on and talk with us. And the interesting part for me is that Kari, she's going to do the presentation. And I was both working as a trainer and as a practitioner. And as a practitioner, I'm working for the Salam Film Festival. And Kari, she has been my student at that work, and she has been doing a very interesting survey I have been wanting to see for years, and now we got the chance, and she'll present it, and it's about how the young spectators actually pursue their visits to our film festival, because it's a film festival for schools, but it's the gatekeepers, which in our case is will be the teachers. It's the teachers who book the tickets and who drag on the young children and all ages. And now we wanted to know what these youngsters actually think about a few of our screenings. And this will be Kari telling you about it. Okay?
Thank you very much. So, hello everyone. I'll just see that I can actually control the slide myself. It seems like I can now. Thank you. Yeah, so my presentation will be firstly on a short introduction to the project we have done, focusing on short who is Salam actually, for those who don't know, and then moving on to shortly say how did we carry out the survey, what methods did we use, and then mainly focusing on the last slides on mainly two challenges we have met along the way, and the solutions that we reflected on. Yeah, so the next slide. As Solveig has presented, she has said what we focused on, but I will then instead say something about that Salam Film and Dialogue is a film offer for school pupils from age 5 till up to actually 18, right?
Yeah.
And then this film offer both comprises a film screening, and always the film always has a speaker who both present the film and discuss or reflect the film with the students or pupils, and the speaker always has some kind of personal story that relates to the film story. And the main mission talks into intercultural education, a broader vision of intercultural education. So the way we try to figure out how these pupils of the target group, or the segment 13 to 16 years old, assess and experience Salam's events was through both participant observation at 8 specific chosen events during fall 2018, and that was 2 interns who carried out those participant observation, me and another intern, another student from the twin track program. And then we developed some questionnaires that we handed out to each participant who had beforehand agreed to join the investigation or the survey. And then we had some interviews, more qualitative interviews with focus groups, from 3 to 8 volunteers who also had participated in that specific event. So we were looking at the existing audience and how they experienced it through these different ways. Then the challenges we met along the way was, for instance, how to make pupils participate in the survey. And that Salam had this privilege or advantage, I would say, to have directly contact through their booking system to the teachers that had booked for their classes to join the events. And this direct contact allowed us to develop some kind of invitation to joining the survey beforehand, and asking actually all the teachers who had booked for each event whether they were interested in helping us figuring these questions out, or helping us to develop this knowledge. And that actually, the response from the teachers actually mapped which events we could choose to carry out the survey. And then also we were thinking about we somehow had to incorporate the survey in the event through like preparing the speakers for mentioning or introducing the survey while they had their presentation at the events. And furthermore, we we discussed with the teachers to hand out we agreed with the teachers to hand out the questionnaires right after the events, and ideally within the teaching time that they had already, like the students were still, it was still seen as a part of the lesson. And also the interviews we made as short as possible for making it possible to include it in that teaching time. So max the interviews took between 10 and 20 minutes. And that, of course, you can question or afterwards, when I'm done, question these ideas to solutions or come with other solutions. Then another question or another challenge along the way was how to translate collected data into the information or questions that we strategically wanted to or could use for implementing it in the organizational development or in the organization. And that question, you could say, both comes, actually ideally already comes before the survey is carried out, or that you think of what is it actually I want to say something about with this research or this survey, and then develop questions that can inform that knowledge. But what due to time, this also became a challenge after we had, or along the process actually, every time we handed out questionnaires, we looked at them afterwards to see were the questions understood, what do they actually say something about, are we going in the direction that we wish to do, does it inform us what we, first of all the language, is it understood, but also does it inform what we will want to say something about. And then in the post phase of handing out these or having done the survey, we had I can only recommend to use your mentors and take some and prepare the supervision with them, for instance with these questions. At least what we used the mentor for especially was this discussion of what did our data actually inform, and how could we then translate that into specific concrete developments in the organization. We use models from Connect project. We use the model SWOT that we see on next slide, I think. Here, yeah, where we looked at what does this data, what strengths does it inform, what weaknesses does it inform, in order to point towards both potentials or necessities, and not necessarily threats, but potentials rather than threats, and opportunities. Just to go back, for Salam, this became we categorized the data into what said something about our format, the content, and respectively the methods, in order to evaluate the film program that was during that festival, and in order to reflect on how could we rethink the film program for next film festival next year. And also these information could help us diversify nuance, develop the way the speaker communicate and relate to the film at each event. So that could, for instance, be implemented when Salam holds their speaker seminars, when they train their speakers and when they train also their interns, because the interns have a lot to do with the speakers. Then just a reference that I could recommend in order to that last to help critically reflect on that last challenge or question is and also when you work with quantitative methods like developing questionnaires is the what is it called? Alan Bryman's The Nature of Quantitative Research, who is a leading, which is a leading text in when you do social research, use social research methods. Thank you very much. That was what I had. Any questions, comments?
Are you still alive?
Yeah, we don't hear anybody. You're welcome.
So interesting that Kari, she's gonna write her final thesis based somehow on this research. So I'm still looking very much forward to even more knowledge from her hand.
I see there's a question about the consequences of the research. In relation to what?
Vores organisation.
Yeah, like I gave some examples of the how we can implement this. What action comes next? Yes, definitely. First of all, I think, or on my part, I'm doing the thesis on this, where I'm focusing on especially the speaker's role, the evaluation of the speaker's methods, and that will somehow inform in relation to the procedures that Salam is using in their everyday lives, of how the speaker relate to the film and how they relate to the audiences. This survey is pointing towards ways to improve and develop some of these procedures that Salam has. For instance, they have something called the SIPA model. How can we eventually elaborate that model in order to better connect or reflect and discuss personal stories in relation to the film story or theme? So next is both how can we plan a more developed or rethink the way we teach during teaching what's called the speaker seminars, and the handbook that the speakers and interns get when they prepare the events. And then on the other hand, I know that Solveig wants to look at the answers in the survey, in the questionnaire, especially in order to evaluate the film program. Is there something to rethink?
Yeah, so we want this to maybe make another survey also and do it again, but with the learnings we have done from the mistakes and the good things about the survey that was made in a rush. And then on the other hand, at the same time, we want to develop it into a tool to choose good programs, good films to the next program, and also that are very suitable for the youngsters. And we also, as Kari said, want to make sure that our training of the speakers is becoming even better, based on knowledge on how they actually come through to the young students. Yeah. So the impact of that's what we will use it for immediately, and then we'll keep working on it. I think it's a very interesting alley to take.
Okay. No, it was interesting how you said how you use your mentor to help you understand how to how the data you collected, how it can help you to develop your strategy. So how to gain insight from the data you collected. And from what I understood, the mentor helped you in this, right? Can you articulate a little bit more? No.
Hvordan han hjalp dig, men du skal nok sige, hvem det var.
Yes, we had agreed beforehand that I should, or we, the team, should write down some challenges we met at that state, and and then he exactly out of those challenges helped us categorizing what is it actually these challenges say something about, and that pointed into exactly the fact that both we presented our that I have to say as well, we presented our questionnaire to show him, and the interview strategy, so he could see how had we what were the questions, and then he helped us elaborating on what does that actually say something about, and he was the one pointing at, but look, you both have questions that point towards the format, you have questions that point into the content and into the methods, and that is broadly divided into both film and speaker, and then yeah, and then he said, yeah, because we knew we had evaluated in strengths and weaknesses, developing questions that as many questions positive and negative about both film and speaker, then he could he just helped us kind of elaborating linguistically on with language on or with a special terminology on how those challenges then pointed directly towards a development of both the speaker handbook and seminar, as well as the film program change. So informing both what we had done and then pointing towards some challenges in that data, and then he structured it for us, so to speak, or helped us seeing a structure in our work.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much, Denmark. And now we need to move forward, and I will pass the word to Piotr and to our Polish hub.
Hi everyone, I hope you can hear me well. So I'm here to represent the entire hub, although I work at Adam Mickiewicz University. Yes, this is only one of the partners that makes our Polish context quite interesting and specific, because other partner is City of Warsaw, and that makes us think about the entire project a little bit more in a systemic way. So we treat in Poland audience development more not only on the institutional level, but also on an entire city level, treating the network of institutions that belong to one ecosystem as well, kind of a mutually related entities. So this is it. Our twin track program, because of our capacities as the university, is shaped in a form of a postgraduate study program. So it's actually quite interesting for people that join the program, because afterwards we will be able to certificate the knowledge and issue diplomas for them. The entire thing started in October. We split it because of the university settings the program into two semesters. We are now in the second one, of course, where our students work with the cases, with their challenges. And today with us there is Marta, that is one of our teachers and trainers, but also Dominika, that is about to present her case that she's working on with Marysia, that is unfortunately not with us today. So I'll pass the word to Dominika now, that is a practitioner, vastly experienced, so I'm very glad that she was able to join us today, because I think she can share lots of the experience that she has working in the Museum of Modern Art in Warsaw. So the floor is yours, and thank you.
Thank you for giving me the floor. I would like to introduce one of the challenges we are coping in Poland, in Warsaw, Poznań, and other two cities. I title it Between Idea and Reality because this is the main issue of the challenge, and this is the main issue for the question, and hoping you can help us to solve the problem. So I come from Museum of Modern Art in Warsaw, and just to shortly give you the view, what is the situation. So we are the national art institution without the permanent permits. So here you can see our permits we are in right now, but we cannot have this permanent exhibition there. So the only place we can exhibit our national exhibition is actually the Rudno Sculpture Park, which is the part of Warsaw City. This is like the local park with local people. So we decided to focus on our collection, which is exhibited day by day in the park. But so many people, especially the local people, they really don't know about it, or if they know about it, they don't use this place to be there and to use it. Our challenge with Marysia is to help the curator of this sculpture park to give back the park as a collection and as a place of art to the local society, and to establish kind of a new program, the public program the museum gives to the society, with the connection with the locals people needs. And we want to have the joint program, and we want to know what the local people living around the park, what do they need. And also we finally want to make our collection, permanent collection, visible and making a use of it for the local community. Just to let you know, we have like over a dozen of sculpture in the park. And why do we have it? Because it comes from the roots. I mean, a couple years ago, there's an artist, Paweł Althammer, together with the neighbors, they decided to do something in the park to make it more lively and more of a culture-like issue. That's why we start. The exhibition started with one sculpture, second, and right now we've got over a dozen of it. And yearly we have the public program for the people. We have the school lessons, we've got some picnics, we've got some workshops, but from time to time we really don't know whether it's suitable for the local community, or maybe they would like to have something else. That's why me and Marysia, we want to help the curator to kind of establish the recommendations for the future program of this park. So as a preparation, we want to first talk to the curator to see what were the former programs, public programs in the park. We want to, I said reading, because we want to go through the researches that the municipality of Warsaw gave us about how people use the culture, how more they are in the culture in Warsaw. So it helps us to see what is the segmentation of the people we want to talk with. And also we want to think through the kind of questionnaire to finally talk to the people afterwards. And then we want to go to the action. We want to spend some time in the park with the curator and our educators and go with the short interviews and observations. We want to take part in the workshops for the local community and kind of shadow them just to see what are the behaviors when they spend time in the park, so we could establish maybe new prepositions for the future program. And about the dissemination, we want to prepare the recommendation for our museum to help them working on the new program for the future. And as the last thing, the doubts, debate, and question, I would come back to the title. The idea is great. We had so huge ideas about, you know, this project, but the reality says you don't have much time and you should focus on the smaller, tiny steps to work something out. And our question is afterwards, how to support the change inside the institution. I mean, with the recommendation and dissemination phase, how to make it sexy and how to convince the curators that the local community has its rights and maybe see the culture in a different way we as a museum see. And I thank you very much, and please keep your fingers crossed for our project. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dominica, to share with us the stage of your project. So let's see if someone of all the participants wants to share some suggestions, some comments on this open question at the end. How to make sexy the recommendations. That's something we all can learn from. So, well, you are reading probably what Jonathan is writing. So this is a nice idea to have this prototype, this experiment. It helped in developing the long-term thinking, to do something smaller that leads to something bigger. Yeah, that's the idea. So because you have explained how you have focused on these details, well, how the park is used and how it's experienced by the local community and so on. What you get from that, how does it impact on something bigger, on the overall view of the museum? Yeah.
So the first, we were thinking of like to do huge researches and to go deep into discussions with local community within the park, and then to establish totally new program, and then to come back to the curators and give it to them. But then we thought, well, maybe we should have like 2 years for that. So having like 3-4 months, it's a really good question that we want to really focus on, like, you know, interviewing the people, shadowing them, I mean in a good sense, shadowing them just to see a little part of their like daily living, because then we have we hope that we can come out with the concrete 1, 2, 3 prepositions, and maybe that would help to establish new project, new program, and will help the curators. So for the it is easier just to go with small steps, because then you can evaluate whether you got the point or not. This is what I think. And what kind of workshops do you want to do around the art of work and also in the environment itself? So Sofia asked me. So there are like 2 types of workshops. The first part of workshops is this is the workshop for the local activists. So they can, like, you know, brainstorm and then go through the preparing of their small tiny art projects in the park. And the other thing is our public program, which consists of different workshops run by our educators, and then we just it is based on or the sculptures or the themes. So we want to just like maybe do it like the joint thing, so maybe to give the local people more space for their workshops for the others. But of course, it's all connected with art, but also the local activities.
Yeah, Dominica, I have a last question for you. How is the working dynamic? Is it possible, maybe, I don't know if it was right now, but maybe in the future, to create like a working group where the curator is involved, so that he is involved in all this research, and then maybe the change is easier? Or I don't know, how do you see it?
I love your question, because happily the curator of the sculpture park, she's a lady activist, and also she's really eager that we've got this project. So we had already started talking to her, and she wants to be a part of our project, and she says like shadow my project, and we will just discuss and evaluate each step day after day. So then we hope that the change will be most smoother if Isa, the curator, is a part of our project right now.
Yeah, there's a question from Solvay,
Yeah.
and she asks if there are some ethical considerations when observing people in a public park.
Well, I mean, maybe my English is not very, proper, but I mean, observation means like you just walk through the park and you see where and when the people are coming or not. And of course, if we want to do the interviews and just chats, we will just approach people and ask them if they want it or not. So of course there won't be like the shadowing, like the hidden shadowing of people. No. But thank you for this question.
Okay, then thank you very much, Dominica, and well, Poland and all the countries. I think now it's time. We have been very punctual starting and also ending. It has been a pleasure to meet you all, and thank you very, very much to all the presenters who have done this effort of preparing a short structure of what you are doing and posing all the questions and generating these debates. I'm afraid we have not had enough time for a lot of discussion, because 2 hours with 5 cases is just a lot. But I think, it has been worth doing this with all of you, and we hope to make this available for the rest of participants in case they would like to have a look into it. So thank you very much, and have a nice day. Bye bye.